morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's a great Saturday, although I kind of feel bad because when I went out to grab breakfast, I saw quite a few people walking their doggos, and the doggos wanted to sit and smell stuff, or one of them was trying to go potty, and they were just being dragged along like the humans wanted to come back in and stuff, and I don't understand because it's a gorgeous day outside. Okay, it's a little muggy, and yeah, my computer thinks that it's 80 degrees outside. That's what my phone thinks as well. So it is muggy, it is warm. But if you're bringing your puppy outside, let the puppy have the enjoyment because, they're stuck inside all day and they'd rather be outside. Whereas, humans, well, we spent so much time perfecting the inside. Why do we want to go outside? So, yeah, it's a good Saturday so far. I have been in here sewing for a little bit and trying to get things organized, and I'm just excited to be here with y'all. In the chat, we have Julie exclaiming that she's first. Good morning, Russ, and all my friends. Good morning, Julie. I hope you're having a great day. We also have Jeannie E. Candace is in the house. I thought Candace was heading to Tennessee today, but she might be leaving a little bit later instead of earlier. Good morning, Sue, who says good morning, Russ and Julie and all of our sewing friends. And good morning, Charlotte. We have a large crew already stacking in here. This is exciting. I'm not, accustomed to all of this, boom, 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 but it's great. I'm here for the energy. It's been just a interesting week and stuff and trying to get things organized. Yesterday was a little annoying at work, but work is allowed to do that every now and then. Luckily, it hasn't been happening often, so I'm kind of okay with it. It's also trying to help make sure our new manager succeeds so that everything can stay normal. So if he succeeds, then we are able to do. Good morning, Tamala, who says, hey, Russ, good morning. I hope you're having an awesome day. So today, spoiler alert, we're doing 2 cotton cut clues. I put that in the YouTube card and description, and the reason why I did it is because I looked at the clues. How do I do this easily? And clue 6 is just a couple little pieces, and then clue 7, which is on top, is very simple as well. So I said, why don't I do my best to get 2 clues done at once, and that'll help me get to finishing these quilts a little bit faster. And I was wondering, can I do 2 clues in an hour? Spoiler alert, I know I can. So how do I get, okay, I gotta push this button. Ooh, the chat's a biggin'. Okay. I may have to reduce the chat size a little bit, but I think I like this. I forgot to do that. So, yeah, chat's easier to read up on the screen now. So, hopefully y'all like that. Hopefully y'all don't mind seeing yourself up on the screen like this. And with here, okay, it's the 4th step says to make half square triangles, but I like to do all my half square triangles at the beginning, mostly because they're all being turned into squares, so it's easier to have a whole bunch of squares lined up on the design space than a bunch of triangle pieces waiting to be sewn. So I'm going to start with the half square triangles. This is Cotton Cut's Tree of Life, which is last year's puzzle mystery quilt. I know last week they had signups for, I think it's called Under the Sea. I don't remember. I talked myself out of signing up for the Tula Pink colorway, partly because I knew that it would sell out virtually instantly, because it always does, and partly because I have enough projects that I'm working on right now. I do not need another project that just takes some time out of the other stuff. So I declined signing up for that one, as much as it pained me. I'm going to be watching throughout things on who has what and say, okay, I'm not going to say I really want it until I see it, and then it's way too late. Okay, let's see. The first step is to connect some F's to some B's. Like I said, I'm doing this out of order because I know I know how I like to put things back on my design board. That's why I'm doing it out of order. I do this with all my cut and cuts, so I just make sure that if I get to a spot where it has a pressing instruction, I do follow the pressing instruction, because you have to press it the way that they tell you to press it, so that your seams in the end will line up. And then I'll grab these two, which is step 2. So I hope everybody had an awesome week. Like I said, it was a little fiddly with work, but that's because work's allowed to be. We were working on a presentation that I think my manager has to give to executive leadership in a week and a half. He officially got the time as a week and a half. And we're trying to make sure that the system that we're working on gets better, because if it doesn't get better, it's only going to get worse. So we spent a lot of hours working on a PowerPoint presentation just to say, okay, how's this work? How's this work? What do we want? He presented it to our senior director. Maybe he's a VP. One or the other. And the person he reports to came back and was like, well, this seems like more sense, and this seems like more sense. So we'll see how we get it. My iron turned off, so I can't press yet. But it was a good week with work. We had a presentation actually on Tuesday, and I forgot to get a picture for my vlog, so I got pictures Thursday for it. So we now have a giant pride sign on campus. Charlotte says her Tree of Life quilt top is done. Yay! Just need to make the quilt sandwich, and quilt and bind it. That is what I am going to do, hopefully very quickly, after I get this done. I'm trying to see if I can get all of the clues done before 4th of July. And then spend that long weekend in here working to get the quilt put together. And then try to find time to actually quilt it and then bind it. And then after my live here, I am going to have to go up to Kennesaw to one of my local quilt shops and pick up the fabric that I had ordered months ago that finally came in. I'm just making sure the letters are in the correct order. Okay. As I'm putting them down back into the design area. And then these get pressed out this way. Good morning, Joydy. How are you today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope your weather is as gorgeous as it is here. Yesterday, when I dropped Riley off from daycare, I realized there's a little video that I need to start taking. And that means I'm going to have to figure out how to screen record on my phone. Because after I dropped her off, I pulled up my phone to... Because she was excited that her favorite guy at daycare was there. Like, if he's there, I don't exist. That's how awesome she likes him. So I pulled up their cameras app and said, wait, I can watch her go in. So I watched, like, I pulled up the camera as I got in the car, and I saw her all happy in the pre-entry area and jumped up and gave him a kiss when he popped in and everything. So yeah, it was kind of cute. So I think I'm going to see if I can try to next week get that little snippet to share in my scenes from the week. Stu says, poor Russ having to go to the quilt shops. I mean, yeah, because I could be in here sewing. So there is that. It is the fabric that I'm picking up should have been here months ago. But, and by months I really mean probably about a month ago. It is the background fabric for Camille Ross Kelly's Summertime. And I'm planning on using that in the, what is that thing called? A block of the month that I am starting maybe in July, probably August. And with the amount of background that I need, I'm like, it's going to be cheaper to buy it by the bolt because I'm going to use that fabric for other projects because I have a lot of fabric. So I ordered it from my local quilt shop, and I started pinging them like, is it in yet? Is it in yet? Is it in yet? Finally, they were like, Moda says it was shipped, but it hasn't arrived. So Moda reshipped or whatever their rules are, and it arrived Monday, I think. So I got a call, and they're like, we have a little bit of problem though. They had ordered two 15-yard bolts, which I only wanted one, but it came as three 10-yard bolts. So they were just asking to make sure I'd be okay with a 10-yard bolt and a 5-yard cut. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. as long as the 5 yard cut gets to be on some type of a bolt to make it easier for me to do some little bit of storage. Not that it's going to be stored too long, but I need to make sure. So they said that they would put it on to a spare bolt that they have, because they have spare bolts all the time. And I get to go pick it up when I am done with this live. Jeannie E is asked, or Jeannie E, I gotta figure out which one that is asking, what colorway am I doing? I have no idea. This is the Purples Batiks. I don't remember what it was called. This one is for a former coworker of mine. She had been saying for a while that she wants a quilt that is made by me. And I told her, I was like, if you buy this, because everything is cut and it's a lot less work for me, I will make it for you. And she's like, but I don't know what it's going to look like. And I was like, I don't know what it's going to look like either. So I showed her some of the past puzzle mystery quilts, and she's like, they all look alike. I was like, yep, that's part of the point. So whatever this blues and purples colorway is hers. And then for mine, I'm doing the Juicy Juice colorway, whatever that was called. I don't have the color cards immediate to know what the names were. Joy says, good, thanks. Hope you are also. Weather is too hot. It's going up to 90 today. I think we're getting a little bit higher than 90 today here. And the humidity is, well, you know, southeastern humidity. Yes, I know you're the Genie on Steven Zooms. I just don't remember if you're Genie E or if you're Gene E. And I think it's Genie E. I just need to make sure that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I know who you are. I'm just bad at remembering how to pronounce it, because we have, you know, Genie, Genie, Gene, Genie. It's like there was a shortage on names to pick. As I joke, I could pick you out in the lineup. I just couldn't tell you which one is your name. Because, what is her name? Jeannie Robertson. May she rest in peace. She was an awesome... She called herself a speaker because she didn't want to be really known as a comedian, but she's hilarious. And... her name is spelled Jeanne, which could be pronounced either Jean or Jeannie. And if y'all don't know who she is, please go look her up, because she has some hilarious stories. There were times I had to, you know, pause myself driving because I had tears coming out of my face from the laughter from her stories. And this is D. Okay. I'm making sure I'm putting my stuff in the correct orders. The only thing I dislike about batiks is how they stick to each other. that way. Sticking to each other is nice when they are lined up perfect. Sticking to each other is not nice when you're trying to get them lined up. And it's a pain in the neck when you've had too much caffeine. And an update on the fabric haul video that I did last week. I think I have figured out the pattern, or at least one of the patterns I want to do with my aunt's fabric that I got from my cousin. I was looking for a file last week and ended up finding this pattern. I was like, ooh, that's going to be good. So that's going to be one of the things. And then when I was doing the unboxings, I was missing some fabric in the quilt kit from Valley Fabrics. And not only was I missing fabric, but I was an idiot and forgot to buy backing, because I do that pretty often. And if I know you don't have to have your backing match, but I like to have my backing match. My backing's not going to match. It's from the same company, so it technically fits because it's from the same company and everything else. But the top is made from Ruby Star Basics, I'm calling them. I don't know whether they are official basics and are completely always reprinted or what, but so I'm doing the basics for the top, which is the kit, and the missing fabric arrived yesterday. And what was it? Tuesday? Maybe it was Monday. I was going through and was like, this'll be a perfect backing. So I ordered it and it arrived yesterday. It's the capybara fabric from Ruby Star Society's Animal fabric line. When the line came out earlier this year, I was like, ooh, I want it, but I didn't know what I would do with it. I really only want the capybara fabric, but, you know, any opportunity for fabric is worth it. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, and just buying, you know, a yard or two of the capybara, don't know what to do with it. But when I was like, ooh, I have a Ruby Star quilt top and I need a Ruby Star backing, because I like to keep everything in the same family, even if it's not the same fabric line. If I do like a Moda top, I think I want to do a Moda fabric for the backing if I can. So Ruby Star backing, the capybara print, and it's in minty, so it's really cool, and that arrived yesterday. And that shop also carries the Quilter Select 60 weight thread that I like, that I haven't had any of in a while. So I ordered a couple spools of that. So I can start using that for my foundation paper piecing. Next project, because you're not supposed to mix threads if you can help it. So And yes, I also understand there's no rules. If I want to make threads, I can, but I don't want to go from a 50 weight to a 60 weight in my papers, especially since we've got 1 month left to do in dragon fruit. And blocks or clue 6 is now done once I get this pressed. Let's see, I hold it up this way. So clue 6 is these. Or is it? It's this way. I mean, I know we don't know which way it's going to be in the quilt, so I don't want to call it that way. But if you're looking at the papers and be like, something looks sideways, it's because it was. And then here's clue 7 fabrics, which I already have pulled out. And I'm starting clue 7. Joydy says she has to finish her Tree of Life also. And she's doing the small batik like this one. This one is a small as well, which is why I'm able to finish the clues so quickly. If I remember correctly, when I did a large, each clue took closer to an hour? Let me make sure I've got the right numbers. Okay. I just had to make sure I had the right fabrics together. Charlotte says hers is Autumn Shades Small. That was the Marrakesh, wasn't it? That one looked gorgeous. And then Sunday, this past Sunday, Art East Quilt Company, they had their new pattern and kit reveal. And when I saw the Halloweenies, which is a whole bunch of dachshunds in Halloween costumes and stuff, I was like, ooh, I really want that. But I have other kits that I need to finish before I can think about kitting up another. I'm fairly certain that his projects are done in solids that are easily obtainable. So I'm going to buy the pattern and wait until it gets closer to, you know, me having time to make a quilt, another quilt, especially one of that detail. This way. Candace says she is done driving and made it to Tennessee, going to check out the quilt shops. Ooh. Don't buy anything I wouldn't buy, which is, code for buy everything because, well, it's really buy stuff you can't buy here. Because as much as we need to support all of our shops, if I can buy it locally, I would prefer to buy it locally. That's not much. I told you. Buy everything that you can't buy locally. And Julie says, Candace, have fun and share your haul with us. Yes, you can share it by, sending us pictures. You could also share it by, giving us some. Candace had to deal with the Atlanta airport yesterday, so I kind of feel bad for her with that, so she has to have some fun now. And I'm now kicking myself because I normally do my flying geese the other direction. I obviously wasn't thinking when I was planning this. It doesn't matter because everything is cut to size, but I'm more comfortable when my flying geese go the opposite way in the folds. And Stream Elements finally showed up. So I figured out why Stream Elements hadn't been showing up in the past. Apparently there was a limit on how much chat had have to happen. But okay, let me see if I can say this correctly. It had a condition to say, don't say anything unless the chat is this active. So if I wasn't getting a certain number of chat messages a minute, which, as much as I would like to have a million chat elements, that's also difficult to keep up with at times. It wouldn't say anything. So the past couple streams, Streamlabs didn't say anything because it's like nobody's chatting, so why am I going to say anything? And I'm just sitting here thinking, if nobody's chatting, that's the best time to say something because, you know, you got to tell people to stretch. Ooh, Jen said she just finished binding and labeling a requested full-size quilt. That is awesome. I haven't gotten to the point where I let people... Well, I say that as I'm doing a quilt that is requested. But she paid for everything. But I've had friends be like, "Will you make me a quilt?" I was like, "When I find something that makes me think of you, yes." And they're like, "But I want it sooner." I was like, "Okay, you buy fabric." And then they say how much the fabric costs, and then they're like, "I'm becoming an astronomer. I want to look at the stars." And I have an awesome friend I met through my sister. So my sister was friends with her first. And she has done so much for me and my sister over the years. Like, every time that I'm up, she will make me, and it's really me and my sister, a chocolate peanut butter pie, which is delicious. And when we were at lunch, while I was up there last, she said, "How much for a quilt?" And, you know, it was at that point that I basically, you know, I became the astronomer. And it's like, I don't know, it just depends on everything and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but you'll get a quilt because I think you're quilt worthy because of everything that she's done for us. And it was at that point I was like, okay, what do I do for a quilt for her? Because I want an awesome quilt. And I didn't know her fabric decisions and stuff, but I remembered that I had the Lilacia Love quilt because I know that, you know, she likes some purples and stuff. So I sent her one of the blocks and the fabric colors from the Fort Worth Fabric Studio website and said, "Are these your colors?" And she's like, "Oh my God, that looks gorgeous." So I have that quilt top done. I need to get it quilted and bound, and I have everything for it. So she's going to get that quilt next year. Sherry says she is in lurking mode. She loves the Halloweenies pattern. Would love to get the kit, but the budget doesn't allow it this time. She's doing the 2025 designer mystery. Ooh. I've thought about doing the designer mysteries, but they feel very expensive to me. As I say, as I'm doing a 40-month, not a $40 a month block of the month. Good morning, Steven. He just got back from a great fabric sale, spent way too much, but got a lot of fabric. That's always awesome. Sherry says she's mostly in crochet mode because yarn is cheaper. It is. I want to learn how to crochet. I have to at least get graduation quilts done before I can really focus on trying to hone in a new skill. Because if I get too addicted to crochet, there's that problem. I know Steven is going to be sharing an awesome haul video when he gets the time. Doop, ba-doop. I also need to spend part of the weekend investigating my bed because there's something wrong with it. I have a Sleep Number bed, which is a glorified air mattress. I'm going to be that frank. I've got quite a few whatever they call the thickness of the memory foam. But the air mattress part is really what helps you determine how firm or soft your bed is. And something has been leaking in that where it goes from, sleep number 100 to sleep number 50 in a very short time. So I did a Google search before I came on live, and it's like, well, you can check this, this, and this on your own. So I have to figure out those before I contact Sleep Number and say, hey, can you send somebody out to fix my bed? Luckily, I can sleep with the firmness that I end up getting pushed down to at night, but I wake up a little annoyed. Sue says, hi Steven, are you doing your haul video Sunday or Tuesday? Or Steven, are you doing a special video that's being released outside of your normal publishing schedule? Sherry says the designer mystery is expensive, but not more than cotton cuts when you factor in the size and extra fabric. That is probably true. I never paid attention to how much extra fabric we get with the designer mystery. I think a lot of it wasn't necessarily the per month that was pushing me, but the cost of the finishing. Well, it was a combination of the per month and the cost of finishing. Because it ended up being like a $600 quilt, which is not a bad price in some cases. But it also feels like a bad price. Sherry loves crocheting. It's handwork. Can do while hanging out with the kids, and is portable. That is a true statement. It would probably be fun if I could figure out how to do some crochet before my next big trip. Because if I can work on crochet while at the airport, that will give me, something to do instead of walking around the terminals and just looking at things. Because that's what I did last month when I was waiting for my flight out of Atlanta, and then when I landed in Baltimore, I had a couple hour layover, so I just walked around. And by the time that I got to Massachusetts, my legs were sore. And then my sister's like, "Hey, do you want to take Stella May on, or do you want to go on a walk with us with Stella May?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I'm walking, and I'm like, I am exhausted. I don't know how my feet are going to handle this. Pet Quarter Shop is crazy with their kits. This year's is fairly reasonable. Also got a backing kit because it's a one. Ooh, I do like a 108 for the backing. If I don't have to piece the backing, then that's one fewer step to get it on the long arm. Sherry says YouTube has great beginner videos. The Crochet Crowd and the Spoony Stitcher are good. I will have to remember that. 108s are also cheaper usually. Sometimes a 108 can be slightly more expensive for the yardage you need, but it's not often. The problem with 108s is finding something you like for your project. They all look fairly, I'm going to say generic, because they need to be, so they can be on any project, but oh well. So as promised, I was able to get clues 6 and 7 done. So as a reminder, this was clue 6. Made 2 of these. And then clue 7 was 4 of these. And also 1 of these. So that is my former co-worker's version. And through the magic of having already done it, because I started an hour earlier, this is the Juicy Juice colorway that I'm doing for me. I have made 2 of these. So I got that done. That was clue 6. And then clue 7 is this. And then 4 of these. Wow, that was pretty productive. Now I'm going to take a look at clues 8 and 9. And having peeked at those, they look like this. I will probably combine 8 and 9 into a single live next week. Oh, look. And now I can I have 2 Klux 10 printed, so I can see how it's all going together. And none of this surprises me because this is an old quilt. Okay, so let's see what else has gone on. Okay, Stephen, you are a little bit crazy. He got 37 yards of fabric for about $450, and most of it was 108s. So that's a lot. Charlotte's like, I did it with time to spare. Yay. I knew I could do it because like I said, I started an hour early. The 108, Steven says, were $15 a meter, and the regular was $10 a meter, which makes things very cheap for you. And Joydy says, I inspired her to bring out that project box out of the cobwebs. That's awesome. Joydy loves the Juicy Juice colors. Steven says that she did enjoy the keychains that Sue asked if Rhonda liked, and so did all the customers. That's awesome. Those were some fun keychains that I saw. So let's talk about what's coming up this week. Tomorrow, a surprise announcement might be coming out. So look for that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Wednesday is going to be my weekly vlog because that's what happens on Wednesdays. And next Saturday, I am going to be planning on clues 8 and 9 of cotton cuts. And that would hopefully get me, or that would give me all the clues done. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to be doing after that. But that's for future Russ to decide. And I can start putting these pieces together. So that is going to be pretty exciting. The instructions are fairly easy. In fact, looking at this, I can already do the center medallion of the cotton cuts because it uses months 2, 3, and 7 in the center medallion. So I might start piecing together some of the stuff this week if I have time, or next week. So I am going to cut it there. It is a few minutes short, but you know, still a lot of fun. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, awesome weekend, spend some time outside if you can. Like I said, I have to go and pick up some fabric at the quilt shop that I had ordered, so it's already spent money, so I'm not having to spend anything else. And hopefully we will be able to start some new projects soon. Toodles!